Hello, my viewers. Welcome to this session in Revit. In this session, I just want to show you 15 top improvements in Revit. Now, I'll start with some improvements in Revit 2025.2, Revit 2025.3, and I also look at improvements in Revit 2026, and that is the version that I'm using here. The first improvement that I want to show you is called the Accelerated Graphics Tech Preview. Now in Revit 2026, you notice here that we have this option called the Accelerated Graphics Tech Preview. It makes the navigation of your model to be very fast. You can also turn it on into the views. All right, so let me just turn it on. Before I turn it on, you notice that of course I'm able to navigate like that. It also depends on how big your machine is, but if I turn it on from there and click on OK, and try now to move around, you realize that it's very fast, okay, faster than it was before I turned it on. So make sure that you utilize this feature, okay, both in 2D and 3D views, and to see how faster you are gonna be in terms of navigating within your model. The next feature that we are going to look at are bar end symbols, or some symbols on the end of the bars. Now let me just zoom in on these bars, on this column. If I just select on the rebar here, you notice here that now in Revit 2026 you have these symbols called the start of the bar. It indicates the start of the bar and also the end of the bar. Okay, with these two, it's easy now to identify which one is the start and the end than just using guesswork. All right, so for example, if I want to add a hook on top of this bar, previously I wouldn't tell which one is the start and the end, because if I select on the bar and go to the properties, it's only start of bar and end of bar. But in other versions, the symbols in there, and you'd use guesswork to tell which one is the start and the end. So if I want to add a hook at the start of the bar, I'll select on the bar, check out for the symbols. I know this is start of the bar, and now just go to start of the bar. There's none. I'll click on it and maybe add the hook there. Then make sure that I pick the hook type that I want. I want 90 degrees. Moving my my mouse inside there to apply, and you notice here that we have the hook right there. The next feature that we are going to look at is very important for civil and structural engineer, and that is called the bar cranking. Okay, the introduction of this feature will help detailers and also engineers to add the cranking and also propagate the cranking in the most efficient way. Now let me show you how this one works. To add the cranking, for example, on this bar, you notice that I have this bar in the same position with the bottom bar, as you can see from here. So to add the cranking, you just select on the bar here. Now again, you have to use the feature that I just mentioned. You need to tell which one is the what is the end. Is it the start or the end of the bar? I know that this one is actually let me select on, let me start with this one. I'll select on it. If I go on top there, that one is end of bar. It means that I want to add the cranking on the start of the bar. All right, so I'll zoom in here and I'll go to start of the bar, then just click there and I'll open there, and you notice here that now you have what is called the crank. When you select on it, you are going to have crank at start, and also depending on what you've selected, you're going to have crank at start. Then you just need to click there. By default, you are just going to have crank 1. Okay, so if I select on crank 1, okay, and zoom in, you see that you are going to have the cranking there, okay, automatically. All right, now you can configure how you want the cranking to be. All right, so for example, I configured the other one, which is right here, crank 2. I'll select on it, and you see that it even looks much better. Now realize that maybe it's in the other direction, the other side. To change it, you just need to click on rotation at start by clicking there, and maybe just add 1/8 there. Move your cursor inside. Now your cranking will be in the correct correct side, as you can see from here. Let me do the same on this other one. I'll select on it. All right, let me check on top. This one is the is the end of bar, so I need to add the crank again on the start of the bar. So I'll go to start of the bar, click there, open there, and add crank. Right, I'm going to use the one that I configured, crank number 2, move outside like that, and you see that it's going to add the cranking like this. Now I'll do a detailed video on cranking, how you can configure the the cranking parameters and everything. So if you want that lesson, please make sure that you comment. Just showing you the features so that you're aware that such features are there. Now I can also indicate that if you select on it, just click on edit. Okay, let me just select on it and click on edit type and go. If you go to cranking lengths, just like that, you notice what you've configured by default. We're just going to have this one, and this is how you can even check the straight length. You can check the lengths. If you want to configure manually, you can just deactivate it and type in your figures right there. All right, I'll just click there, click on OK, and just close it from here. The next feature that we are going to look at is the view to sheet positioning. Now, if I just open some of the views here, I'll just open the main level, the second level, and the third level. What I've just opened are the sheets here. Now, you see that level 1, level 2, and level 3 is not on the sheet. So I'm just going to place these on the sheet so that you see how we can position the sheets automatically, the views on the sheets automatically, okay? Or align them. So I'll just drag this one and position it right here. Okay, so I'll simply position it. Now you can decide where you want to position it, if it's there or somewhere in the middle. I'm just going to position my views maybe on top, just like this. All right, now when you position it, you can select on the view there, and now we have the option now to save the position. Okay, so you notice here that we don't have any position saved. All right, now the view anchor, it simply means that if it's anchored in the center, for example, the scale changes, it will grow from the center outwards. So we'll leave it at view at origin. We're going to look at it in a moment. So I'll click on it and click on saved position. This is a new feature. Then I'll just call it P1, position 1, then click OK and click outside. Now notice what is going to happen. If I just go to the second one and level 2, I simply drag it here. I'm just going to position it maybe somewhere here. All right. And now all I can do is to simply select on it and now go to saved positions. You notice that there's P1 and it will simply be placed there. I can do the same, go to this, not opening the actual floor, but I just want to open the sheet there. Then select this one, drag it, and I'm simply going again to place this one here. So you see that how it works. Then I'm just going to click on saved positions P1. It will still be in the same position. Right. Now the other thing that you can notice here is that if I select on the view there, I can edit the position. All right, so this is the anchor point I was talking about. You can select this one, you can select all these, even the other one. What you just have to bear in mind is that if you select the center, if you change the scale, for example, it will expand or shrink from this position. So the center for me is okay. So I can drag this one. Maybe I just want to change the position up to here. You notice that all these with P1 as a saved position are going to change. So let me just click on it, just click on OK, and now let's check our views. You see that everything has changed, as you can see from here. The other thing that you need to notice is that if I select on it, we have manage positions. Then I can select on it and you see that you have all those saved positions here. You can delete also from there. So this is how you use manage saved position. It's quite a handy feature. Let's look at how to automatically remove the shortenings or the cutbacks. Now I'm just going to demonstrate this on this truss because I think that's the challenge most of the times when you want to clean up your truss. You notice here that when you model your truss or any other structural member, these are the shortenings or the cutbacks that you are going to experience. Right. Now in Revit 2026, you can disable this automatically, and you can also activate the shortbacks or cuttings as you are going to see here. So to deactivate this, all you need to do is to just go to structure, then go to the settings by clicking that small arrow right there. Then at the end, you have structural steel elements. then just disable it. Just click on OK and click on OK, and just give it a bit of time. You see that it's going to join automatically. Now, as an additional feature, let me show you sometimes when you are trying, the way we've been cleaning up the trusses, if I just go to south, it makes it faster for you now to start doing that. If I just undo here, what we used to do is you just select hold tab, select on it, hold tab and select, then you unpin it, then you start to drag like that, and you have to do that to each and every member. Okay, I'll hold Ctrl-Z to undo. Now you just need to go to structure, click that arrow, click there, just click there, click OK, OK, and you have it like that in some few seconds. And now you can continue with some, copying the members. If I want this, again, something additional that you need to be aware of, I can just go to modify, then go to cut. Then I can just pick maybe one member here, then pick, that reference plane, and I can continue cutting all these, and you can cut that within some few minutes, and you can clean up your truss or add some connections. So this is how you can utilize this feature within Revit 2026. Let's look at the options bar relocation. Now in Revit 2026, you are going to notice that as you click on some tools, you are not going to find the options bar appearing somewhere here where there is a cursor, but you notice that a number of options will appear on the toolbar here. Now I'm going to demonstrate in Revit 2025. I'm just going to open this simple view in Revit 2025, and we'll start with the dimensions. You see that if I just go to annotate, then align dimension, you're going to notice that we have these options here. This is the options bar, and you can do whatever you want with these options. Now in Revit 2026, if I just open the view in Revit 2026, you see that the same option, if I go to annotate, align dimension, you see that you're not going to see the options here, but you're going to see them somewhere here. So a number of options, if you don't find it here, make sure that you just check on the toolbar here on top there. For example, if I just click on copy, select on any element there and click on copy, you see that the options are here, and also a number of options as you're going to see as you keep on working in Revit 2026. Let's look at the feature which was introduced in Revit 2025.2. All right, but we are still going to use Revit 2026. This feature is the enhanced version of the conversion of the physical model to analytical model. Now, if we look at this model, as you can see from here, this is the physical model. If I just go to analytical, you notice that there's nothing here because it doesn't have the analytical model, right? So I'll go back to the physical elements now to convert this to, to analytical elements. All you need to do is to go to analyze, then go to analytical automation. You can use the first two options, and we want to convert the physical to analytical for buildings, but we are going to use automation customization so that we can see the settings which are there. After you do this, make sure that you click on physical to analytical. When you click there, go to select model elements by clicking on select, and make sure that you select all the elements you want to convert to analytical elements. Just like that. Then you see that you have the green check mark here. Now you can play with the alignment factor, and this will depend on how, it will affect how the, the analytical element will appear right here. So I'm just going to change this one a bit and just maintain the defaults here and simply click on run. So it's going to run in the background. All right, now why do you have to use this feature? It's because with this feature now you are not going to have any disconnected panels. You are not going to have any disconnected nodes, the framing, or even the columns. So make sure that you use this feature because it has been worked on and it works perfectly fine, as we are going to see in a moment. As you can see, it's done. As you can see, the run is complete, and what you need to do is to just close from here. All right, now you can see that we have some orange, colors in the background. That is the analytical model. So you can check it by going to 3D view analytical, or just click there. Right now that we have, you can see that we have the analytical model right here. Now I mentioned that this one, is, is quite good. It's been worked on, and you can see that if I move like that, there are no disconnected panels here, no disconnected nodes, beams, or structural framing whatsoever. So make sure that you utilize this feature. If I just go to visibility graphics and I go to analytical model there, I turn on the analytical nodes, just click on apply, okay. Then you can see that you have all the nodes, and as I've said, everything gets aligned perfectly, and you can export this to analysis software. It's going to work perfectly fine without any errors in your analysis software. Let's look at another option or another enhancement that was introduced in Revit 2025.2. That is the one whereby you can filter the project browser. All right, so you see that again, we are going to use this model. If I come to the project browser, you see that you have several options here. If you want to show everything on the project browser, just make sure that you are on all. Then you can also just filter by views. As you can see, it helps you to, if, for example, you're working on a large project here, it's easy for you to see whatever you want to see here. If you just want to filter to legends, you can do that. And you can also go to schedules. As you can see from here, you can go to sheets, just filter by sheets. And we have the families. We also have these options groups, so you can still go back to show everything here. Let's look at the feature which was introduced in Revit 2025.3, and that is the enhanced and modernized load cases and load combinations. All right, now here we are. This is Revit 2026. Okay, now if I just go to analyze and click on structural analytical model, you can see that we have load cases and combinations. This is combined now, and also have load cases. So I'll click on load cases and combinations. All right, so this is what we have in Revit 2026 and also Revit 2025.3. Now, if I just open Revit 2025 right here, this is before, the enhancements in Revit 2025.3. So you see that if you want to open that box there where you do the load cases and the combinations, you have to go to analyze, then click the arrow. Now here you are going to see the load cases separate and also the load combinations. So I can click on the load cases. This is what you see. And within here, I can switch now to the load combinations. If you want to see on how to configure loads and load combination, please make sure that you check the videos on my channel on how I taught on how to configure the load cases and the combinations. So I'll close this one and go back to my Revit 2026. So you see that it's quite modernized, and you can see that there are a lot of other features like advanced configurations, where you can even pick the code. So now from here, you notice here that if I just go to load natures, of course, we have the load natures there. You can click there, you can click right there. You can either pick the user defined, or if you select the region there and the design code, it's going to change from here. So I'll simply go to right here. I'll come to advanced configuration, and if I just click that arrow, you notice here that now you are able to pick the region. For example, if I pick Great Britain from here, I can now pick the design code. If I click there, for example, BS8110, you see that it's going to change here. The dead loads, the live loads, all these loads now is going to pick from the design code. Now, if I go above here under the load cases, if I just click there, you see that now the user defined is right here, but now it's going to pick from the design codes right here. Now, if you want, you can start configuring your load combinations from here. For example, I can add, I can remove. You can also search if you have a number of combinations. So if I add from there, I can simply now start configuring my combination. So I can name it there, the name of the combination. All right, you can give it any name that you want. Then you can pick from here. If it's ultimate limit state serviceability, you can pick it from there. Now the formula I have to skip. You just need to come now here. You see that we have all these load types. So if it's a dead load, you just enter the factor there. Maybe if it's 1.4, you just click on the next one. It's going to populate the formula there. Dead load times 1.5. Okay, I put 1.5. If live load is 1.6, just an example again, you can put 1.6 right there. Then click there. You see that it's going to add dead load times 1.5 plus live load plus 1.6. If you want, you can add another one right here. okay, and you can configure, you can continue configuring all your load combinations. Now you can come here if you want and change, maybe you want to configure this to Eurocode, you can do that, right? And if you want to delete maybe this one now, since you want to configure it in a different way, you can remove it from here. So from here, once again, once you pick Eurocode, you can change from here, and now you can pick your, you know, if I want to pick the 6.10, equation 6.10 from here, and now you can see that those which were configured different using BS8110, you can now change it from here and pick, you know, this is now Eurocode, okay? So you can pick maybe structural to, yeah, just to make sure that those, you know, errors are no longer there. So make sure that you switch, since you've changed now the design code. I can also, if this is live, maybe I want live category A, I can pick it like that, and now I can continue configuring from here. So if you want a detailed lesson on how to configure the load combination, please comment there, I'll do a video for you. The Revit Adins Manager was introduced in Revit 2025.3, and I want to show you on how you can use it. So from here, you notice here that if you've installed a lot of add-ins here, sometimes it goes beyond the screen, whereby you need now to struggle to pick what you want to, you know, to check on. But now we have the Adins Manager. You can deactivate, you know, what you don't want to see. For example, I only have maybe the Lumion, which has been the connector between Revit and Lumion, which is right here. Maybe if I have a number of them and I don't want to see them here, I just want to see Revit tools. The first thing, the only thing that I need to do is to just make sure that I go to manage, then just click on Adins Manager, and from here now all the add-ins that you've installed are going to appear here. You can deactivate the ones that you don't want to see. For example, you see that if I want to disable all add-ins, I can just click there and everything will disappear. All right, if I just want to disable the ones that I don't want to see, I can click on it. Now you just have to realize that you just need to restart the software for those to disappear. So I'm not going to do that. You can proceed and do that. So this add-in is going to help you to ensure that your window is quite clean. Revit 2026 now allows you to set the compound structure without the core layers. You can either move the core layers from within the boundaries, or you can simply delete it, and it's going to allow you to do that. So as you can see, we have the two walls. This is Revit 2026, as you can see from here. Now if I want, I can remove the compound, the core layer for this compound structure, and we are using the wall as an example. It can also be a floor or a roof, and that can still happen, as I'm just going to demonstrate to you. So if I select on this wall, then click on edit, you know, then go to structure and click on edit once again, you can see that this is a compound structure, and the core layer is the structure between the core boundaries, as you can see from here. So once I select on it, I'm able to duplicate it, I'm able to delete, to move it up and down. I can do whatever I want to do in Revit 2026. Okay, this one is quite helpful. For example, if you just want to create some finishes, maybe for the walls, you are just able to create that one layer. It doesn't have to be, you know, the inner layer inside. You can do whatever you want. Now if I just go to Revit 2025, you notice here that that is not possible. If I just select on it, click on edit there, click on edit once again. If I select on the structure, you know, I can't delete it, I can't move it up and down, so that is not possible. The other thing that I want to show you is that within Revit 2026, you are now able to customize the priority for the layers. In Revit 2025, you are not able to do that. The layers have a prefixed, you know, priority, as you are going to see. If I go to Revit 2025, as you can see from here, select on this wall and click on edit, and edit once again, you notice here that under the function, each and every layer has a number already fixed to it. So if I just click there, you see that the structure has 1, you can see the substrate has 2, and this you cannot change, it's already there, right? But if I just go to Revit 2026 by clicking there and select that layer, click on edit and edit, you notice here that now I have the priority and I'm able to pick any number from here. Now what this means is that a lower number, it means that it's higher in terms of the ranking, and other elements are going to attach to it. So for example, I've selected this wall and this is the structure. If I reduce, notice what is going to happen here. Maybe if I were to show you what the joint here, how it is. Okay, if I also want to join this one, this layer below to the core boundary there, so what I can do, I can select on this wall and click on edit once again. Then if I change this layer maybe to priority number 4, meaning that it has a higher priority, okay, so I'll just click on OK, apply, okay. You notice that now even this layer is joining there. So you can use the priority to configure what you want, but in my case the way it was is quite fine because this is how I want my layers to be joined. Let's look at the feature in Revit 2026 where you are able to excavate the topo solid using the subdivide option. Now, as you can see, this is Revit 2025. So previously, if you select on the topo solid, then click on subdivide, and let me just try to sketch the boundaries maybe for my path. Okay, then click on finish. Okay, in Revit 2025, as you can see from here, I'm only able to enter, for example, I'm only able to enter a positive value. If I attempt to enter a negative value to excavate, you know, Revit will not allow me to do that, as you can see from here. Now let me check this in Revit 2026. You notice that we are now able to excavate. If I just select on the topo solid by using, then click on the subdivide too. If I want to excavate here, I'm able to do that. I can just use a rectangle. Maybe I just want to excavate, maybe something like that. Then here I'm able to enter the negative value right here, maybe negative, maybe 200. And maybe let me change the material to this one here and click on finish. Click outside to see that you are able to excavate by using a negative value. I can select on it once again. Maybe I want it to be deeper, maybe negative 1000. I can always do that. So this is a feature that you can use to excavate. That is in addition to the excavate options that you have here. All right, now the other thing that I want to show you in Revit 2026 is that if I just select on the topo solid then click on modify, you see that I have points here. In Revit 2026 you are able to copy this point. This is a new feature. So if I just select, you know, the points, you can see like I can select the points and I'm able to click on copy or CO on your keyboard, then just pick it maybe from that point. If maybe you want to paste the same points up to somewhere here for some reason, you are able to do that. Now I'm just able to escape like that. You see that I have the same points right there. If I select on it, click on edit, you know, the topo solid, you see that the same points that are here are the ones that are here. So those are the two new features in regards to topo solids. Let's look at the feature in Revit 2026, and that is the creation of the walls by room or by segment. With this feature, you are able to create the finishes on your walls. Let's see how this feature works. So as you can see from here, we are going to work on this little model. And if I just go to level 0 right here, we are going, if you wanted to create, for example, the finishes on your walls, it can be interior or exterior. All you need to do is just go to architecture, click on the wall. We can use architectural wall. All right, then I'll just click there and find the wall that I want to use. I'm going to use this wall, okay, as maybe the finish for my interior walls. So I'll just click on it. I can counter check the layers for my walls just like that. Maybe I just need the plaster for my interior. I can remove the, you know, the core boundary. You know, Revit 2026 allows that. So I can simply delete this one and also that layer, just remove it and click on OK. Apply. Okay, now you can see that we have place by room and now place by segment, and we can use auto join or join and lock. We are going to use this option here. Make sure that you use it, and let's start by place by room. Click on it and you see that when you just hover your cursor there, it's going to highlight all the interior finishes or the walls that you are going to place. So I can just click there once and click on modify to escape, go to my 3D view. You see that we have that layer, which is a finished layer. Now if I just go back there and I can select by clicking tab and select there, and I can go to my 3D view, it's selected. Let me just delete it. So if I go back to level 0, I can once again go there and click on wall and now use the same place by room, click on it. Now you see that it's even going to, to add the finish on the column. If I want to avoid the column, I can just, press tab just like that, and I can do whatever I want. Now, if I want to place by segment, especially for the exterior walls, I can use place by segment, and I'm able now to place there. Okay, you can see that if I press tab there, I'm able to cover also the column. If I go on the other side, I can do the same. So this is the feature that we can use. So we can always click there, click inside, and now if we just escape there, go to our 3D view, just like that, you see that we have our interior layer there, which can be a finish or anything that you want to add as a layer.